What is up guys, this is Linthio coming at you with a discussion video today about one of the new Red Eye support cards coming out, and holy hell, this card, first off, looks incredible. So this is Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. It is a rank 7 Dark Dragon with 2800 attack and 2400 defense, and its effect reads as follows: you need 2 level 7 monsters to summon it. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has XYZ materials. Each time your opponent activates a card or effect while this card has XYZ materials, inflict 500 damage to your opponent when that card or effect resolves. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, then target one Red Eye's normal monster in the graveyard, special summon it. So aside from the fact that this card looks ridiculously sick, and I mean sick, I think this is one of my favourite arts that I've seen in a long time, this card is just incredible. It's a really, really solid card. Some things that I have problems with. There was a little rumours with the translations that people were unsure if it required 2 level 7 Dark Dragons or if it was just a generic, and the rumour mill's kind of stopped now at its 2 level 7s, and that's probably why the Dragon Rulers have been banned in the OCG. This card, being generic, opens up so many different options and so much support for decks simply because of the first effects. The first effect, it cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has XYZ materials. That's a really strong effect. You can use that to your advantage because it means that you can dark hole your field and still have this card out, and it just means that you can abuse that. Like Yang Zing's, you can kind of abuse the plus that you've got. But the second effect is the most important and the most devastating in my opinion, because each time your opponent activates a card or effect while it has XYZ materials, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each basically activated. And that's crazy, because you just sit on your opponent's field, you attack, maybe you get in a 2-8 direct, and you're just like, so choose your cards wisely then, because you really restrict your opponent. But this card isn't broken, and this card isn't game changing, simply because it still allows your opponent to play. Now obviously you can only technically play 16 cards while this is on the field as a kind of rough maximum if there's no life point changes. And while you might say it does technically stop your opponent playing, I actually think it brings out a better player. Unless your deck requires about 17 million combos to actually get off what you want to do, for example, maybe Heretics, but you can still stop at certain points, it's not actually going to be too difficult to play around this card. Now I think it is a great card, don't get me wrong, but looking at it from a competitive standpoint and players who will be playing around it, for example, if we do get it, it's not going to be too difficult to get around. Now, there are cards in this game that you can stop it with. So obviously you have normal battle traps like the Mirror Forces and the D-Prisons. Then you have other things to stop the card, like a Fiendish Chain or even a Black Horn of Heaven to stop it coming onto the field anyway. But then you also have other things like Snatch Steal and Book of Moon that you can actually get around with. If you're really in a dire situation, you can Book of Moon and Raigeki it or Dark Hole it. And I know that's kind of a 2-for-1 and your opponent's technically plussing on you, but if you're in such a situation where you need to get that off the field and have to go with extreme courses not to take any life point damage, only the 500 obviously that you're going to probably take from Book of Moon, then it's worth it. The card overall is great. It's nice that it actually is a bit generic because it just means that loads of different decks will want to play it. Karakiris, Harpies, all these different decks that kind of aren't really in the scene get a tiny little bit of a boost. Even Mermos can play this as well, and it's actually just a nice support for rank 7 decks. The last effect is obviously very important for the actual Red Eyes deck by basically saying you can reborn a Red Eyes. It's a really good card in my opinion, and because you know there are also Gemini cards that the new support has, which means you can bring them back as well. It's so good. In the deck, it's a core card that everyone needs to use. If we still have Rulers at this point, you know, Dragon decks are going to get a nice boost, and Red Eye's deck in general will probably be a really high tier as well in my opinion. That's just why I think that's going to go if we just keep getting this crazy support. I think this is the 12th card now, the 12th support card we've had in recent months. So I want to know what you guys think of the card Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. Do you think it looks awesome? Do you think the effect's awesome? Do you think it's maybe a little bit overhyped, or do you think it's justifiable in its hype and its power creep? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.